Hello, everyone. I didn't hear that. Angkor Wat, Machu Picchu, Petra. I've always liked reading about history, especially reading about epic historical places. What grabs my imagination isn't so much people in history, but what people have built together and accomplished together in history. Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to experience these places. Not just because they're beautiful, game-inspiring structures and landscapes, which of course they are, but because they're human-made structures, human-made civilizations, human-made culture and lore. In other words, they represent whole worlds. All of them are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. All of them are chosen and protected because they're considered to be of outstanding value to humanity. I'm honored to be here at D.I.C.E. today to celebrate all the worlds we're building with our teams and our organizations, and to focus on the hundreds of millions of players who experience them every single day. Most of all, it's a privilege to share our thoughts about the world of gaming, the impact of gaming as an industry, and its value to humanity as an art form. So thank you, Megan. Thank you, AIAS. My father was a chemical engineer, and he introduced me to technology. That's him there. He brought home our first computer, the Sinclair ZX81, which was probably best known for that being popular and inexpensive and difficult to type on because of that membrane keyboard. But that computer led me to my journey here today. On that computer, we didn't just play games together, we wrote games together. That's one of the ways I connected with my dad all through my childhood, through these worlds that we co-created together on the Sinclair and playing together in our spare time. Like many of us here, I'd played online games before, MUDs, while I was in college. But in 1997, Ultima Online changed everything for me. It wasn't about people running around in armor or fighting with swords. It was about a fully imagined, living world with cities full of real people, huge dungeons, and awesome monsters. It was the first time I felt like I wasn't just playing a video game, but I was immersed in an alternate world. That the character was actually me. I can still remember my first PvP moment, naively crossing this bridge, wondering what all these other guys were doing on the other side of that bridge. Well, a couple of Vasflam spells later, and I was done for. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is as my player became this ghost, I couldn't believe that the guy who took me down could take my stuff. And I had to sit there and watch him taking my stuff. And all of his buddies standing on the bridge watched him as they saw my ghost watching him taking my stuff. If I had a single moment when I felt the power and potential of gaming, somewhat strangely, this was it. It was the moment where I really felt a lasting connection, not just to my dead character there, but with the community. It was the first time I didn't just love a game, but an entire virtual world. But the moments where I fully understand the power and potential of gaming are moments that I know I share with many of you in this room. Whether you're creating games or building consoles, creating controllers, or experimenting with future tech, it's one of those lightning bolt moments when you meet the gamers who change you. For me, another one of these moments came at a recent Brazil game show. There I was, running to my next meeting, when a man who used a wheelchair stopped me. He stopped me just to tell me that the Xbox was his outlet. That playing on Xbox Live was the truest expression of him in the world. That being part of the community made him feel welcome and equal in the world. And you know what? That experience made gaming vital for him. I think we're at an important juncture where gaming can make a vital impact on all the worlds we move in as an industry. The world of creators, the world of gamers, and I believe the world at large. The reason why I believe we, our community right here at D.I.C.E, can do exactly that is because this industry excels at imagining and creating worlds. We all know that gaming sits at the intersection of art and science. But world building is magic. It's magic for that man who shared his personal story with me at BGS. It's magic for my online friend Hitman on Xbox Live, who lives in Arkansas, runs a funeral home, and plays The Division with me. It's magic for the thousands of teams who have learned to game about game design through Girls Make Games. It's magic for the tens of millions of players who build their own worlds brick by brick in Minecraft. We all know magic when we play it. World of Warcraft, a game that millions still come together with their guildmates every day in Azeroth to experience amazing worlds of Blizzard. Or Zelda, one of the most iconic games in our history, helping to define gaming for over 30 years and showing again last year that it's as relevant today as when it was first launched. Inside, from a small private studio in Copenhagen, this game doesn't just have many stories to tell, it actually succeeds at asking players many questions. Halo. This one's obviously close to my heart. The story of John, Master Chief, who saves the world again and again from the onslaught of the Covenant. Uncharted, amazing setting, amazing graphics, daring characters that make every moment of this game thrilling. For as long as there have been humans, we've always told stories. Stories to explain phenomena. Why is there thunder? Oh yeah, Zeus is ticked off again. Stories to comfort our children. Stories like Goodnight Moon. Stories as social commentary, like every book by Ursula Le Guin. World building makes our world understandable and makes stories feel real and grounded. To paraphrase writer Chuck Wendig, good world building starts with the story, but epic world building serves the story. It's everything. It's so much more than constructing the landscape and buildings, so much more than concept to final script. It's language, politics, traditions, it's faith, it's laws, it's customs, it's race and ethnicity, it's gender, it's relationships, it's the rules of magic. It is lore. In short, it is everything that makes up a society. World building is the arena we build to tease out meaning in life. And what are we saying about our real world with the worlds we create? It's Candleman asking, will you brave the difficulty and the darkness to bring light to the world? Or Life is Strange asking, what does it mean to be blissfully ignorant versus painfully aware? What Remains of Edith Finch asking, can you escape the cycles of your family history? Or The Last of Us, are there truths that people are better off not knowing? World building enables the question within the quest. Every single time we upend a stereotype in a game, we beg the question, why can't it be like this in the real world? And most of all, world building is the bedrock of awesome gameplay. Can we make the world so visceral and so real that it exerts a gravitational pull that makes it endlessly playable? That it is so layered and so compelling, that you can't stop talking about it with everyone. It's so exciting and so unexpected that it glues you to Twitch. World building is some of our best and our finest and most important work. And in order for us to do our best work, we need our work environment to function well. If the core mechanics of our own teams and our own internal cultures are broken, everything stumbles. And then there's the flip side. The flip side is when the core mechanics of your own team work and the team accomplishes great things. This is our aspiration. And we're learning this firsthand right now. Almost exactly 4 years ago, Satya Nadella became just the third CEO of Microsoft's history. We all knew something was different about Satya when he assigned the leadership team to read Nonviolent Communication, Life-Changing Tools for Healthy Relationships. And then he started quoting poetry. But it was obvious that Microsoft needed a reboot. Morale had hit a low. We were all massively frustrated that we kept missing big trends. And in some ways, it felt like real innovation was impossible. And the infighting and fiefdoms were so famous, people made fun of it, which would have been funny if it hadn't been so true. So we hit refresh on everything, not just our communication, but our entire culture. And this is a 4-year and counting, comprehensive, top-down, bottoms-up rethinking, reframing, reimagining, and rebuilding of our culture. The way we are going from a know-it-all culture to a learn-it-all culture. From proving that you're the smartest person in the room to being the most curious person in the room. From reasoning against an idea to reasoning for an idea. From listening with the intent to argue to listening with the intent of being persuaded. Everything is changing. The way we relate to each other, to our partners, and even to our competitors. The way we build teams, the way we run projects, the way we commit every single day to making Microsoft a safe and inclusive place for all. This was and is a deliberate 100,000 person strong undertaking to craft the most innovative, the most representative, and the most effective culture we possibly can, so we can do our best work together. This isn't culture for culture's sake. It's culture for collective impact. Cultural transformation is hard and demanding work. 4 years into it, it's still sometimes incredibly slow and incredibly painful to get everyone on board, much less to admit your own biases. 4 years into it, it still requires a growth mindset, a commitment to keep listening, keep learning, since cultural change is always ongoing. 4 years into it, we are still taking actions and changing behaviors. And I think the biggest tension comes down to this. Do we solve this the best we can right now, or work forever for the best solution? Have we figured this out? I think we're learning how to figure this out, since culture change is an ongoing journey where every success, every failure helps us discern the best of who we are. We keep at this cultural transformation because we know it enables our best work. That work is needed now because we are here to empower all people and all organizations around the world to achieve more. It's our personal and corporate commitment to people of all genders, all abilities, and all ethnicities, in all geographies. It's our personal and corporate belief in what human ingenuity can build and accomplish. This is our quest. I've been at Microsoft since I was an intern in college, and I can honestly say that in today's world, with our current set of problems, opportunities, competitors, I'm more than excited to ever to work in the Satya years. Empowered to do our best work, our most impactful work in gaming. That's how profound our culture work is, and that's why we keep constantly working at it. Almost 4 years ago today, I became the head of Xbox. And I thought, in case this might help you, I thought I'd share some of my learnings over the last 4 years on our cultural transformation. I'd been in my role for a month when I had the opportunity to speak at our Xbox team at an all-hands meeting, talking to everyone. The team was in a world of pain. We hadn't done our best work with the announce of the Xbox One. The product we built wasn't meeting the expectations of our customers. Market share taking a nosedive, and it was painful to read all the headlines. Plus, and most importantly, the team thought the leadership team had gone totally tone deaf about what our customers were demanding from us. I knew I had to do more than articulate our strategy to win back the hearts of our customers. I had to win back my team's trust. So we chose to tell our team about some confidential news that we couldn't take public for a couple months, as well as the strategy behind that decision. Thousands of my team heard the news that day. And the amazing thing is, word didn't leak. Not one tweet, not one forum post. That was a significant milestone in our journey to rebuild trust between the leaders and the team. For me, this was a huge lesson about trust. But more than that, it was a lesson about empathy, about looking up above the noise of the headlines and the weight of the emails and meeting my team at their heart, addressing their worries and trusting them first. The most difficult lesson I learned was at GDC 2016. For 20 years, Microsoft's Women in Gaming, and later including Microsoft Blacks in Gaming, had sponsored sessions at GDC. 2016 was the year we wanted to go bigger. We threw events for Latinx in gaming, LGBTQ in gaming. So along with many of you here in this room, we sponsored 4 days of really great community celebrations across our industry. But at a party, an unequivocally wrong, unequivocally sexist, and unequivocally intolerable choice was made. And obviously the backlash was justifiable and furious. The internal backlash at my own company was almost harsher. The easy thing would have been to sidestep responsibility. Instead, as a team, we bet on who we were and what we stood for. And we communicated that we don't tolerate any employee or any partner who creates an environment that enables or offends others. We bet on our own culture. And we communicated that we stand for inclusivity. And I personally committed to do better. For me, I think it's a leader's job to absorb the hit, to take personal accountability, and to be clear about our culture, who we are, and what we stand for. What made it easier for me to hold myself accountable was really believing in the growth mindset. Believing deeply that failure, even and maybe especially public failure, is the source of our greatest growth. I just read an interview with Brian Stevenson, the public defense lawyer who wrote Just Mercy. His quote echoed the need to be continuous learners, especially in the highly fraught dynamics such as gender and race. He wrote, "I don't think we should expect to make progress on these issues without bumping into one another, without making mistakes. What I don't think we should do is retreat. I agree with Brian. When we make mistakes and we bump and we collide into each other, the easy way is to retreat, maybe even deny there's a problem. Instead, I think we have to be humble. I think we have to be active learners, read, educate ourselves, try to understand other people's journeys, and read some more. And then, better informed, I think we commit to leading with deliberate purpose. This is something I know I have to work on every single day. One of my biggest growth areas as a leader is to listen first instead of jumping in with the supposed answers. The results are better for the team if I ask questions, because the dialogue becomes more meaningful and participation on problem solving increases as people feel heard and valued. And that's what we can accomplish and build together. This is especially true if I ask the quietest person in the room what they're thinking. Whether it's culture or personality or just not being used to being asked, some people are just quieter. I myself don't have that problem. So when I ask them questions during or after the meeting, I make sure I hear their ideas. Oftentimes, the best insights and solutions come from the quiet ones. I've also taken a lesson from some of my female leaders on my team who'd spotlight each other, so their ideas weren't lost in the discussion. Not heap-eating their ideas, but amplifying what they've said, so others hear their ideas. What's the difference? We give credit. Hey, like what Bonnie said. Again, small communication adjustments, but adjustments like this can help welcome the entire team to build and accomplish together. A real-time lesson that I'm learning right now is leading from 3 key principles. Create clarity, generate energy for the team, and deliver success. As we're pivoting from a device-led to a customer-led world, every time I communicate with the team, I think hard about these leadership principles, and I ask myself, how can I communicate more clearly and more simply so everyone understands the mission? How can I generate the most positive energy for my team so they're as excited about the strategy and opportunities ahead as I am? How can I bring the entire team along so we can deliver success after success together? And most of all, am I building a world where all of us can thrive and achieve more? Just as culture is renewing at Microsoft, I think culture can be the tool that enables us to realize the true power and potential of gaming. The time to get our culture right is right now. There are massive shifts in technology. Customers and entertainment itself can ultimately help us create new games and welcome new gamers. Our reach and impact can be so much greater if we're ready. First, the next wave of the digital revolution is increasingly drawing gamers and creators together across geographies, across play platforms, and across watch platforms. It's not surprising that gaming has always been on the bleeding edge of the digital revolution, what some people have called the democratization of technology. What's exciting to me is how digital tools like Unity and others are becoming democratized, empowering more indie creators to become the next Stardew Valley, Never Alone, or to build the next Ori or Subnautica. Our digital tools are also enabling distributed development so teams can work across regions and across cultures. This is great news for gaming because studies show that exposure to different cultures and values actually encourages flexibility and, most importantly, creativity. And now, consider that the line between creator and customer has never been so thin. Think about it. When Madeleine L'Engle wrote her books, no one really knew how to get in touch with her. Now, creators, meaning everyone in this room, as we're all so painfully aware sometimes, we're one Twitter handle away. Feedback loops are instantaneous. Communities have a direct line to us. Through Discord and other forums, they can tell us exactly what they think about what we've created. And if we think that these technological advances have impacted creators and consumers, just check out the next wave of the digital revolution: AI, mixed reality, cloud computing. I fully expect to see unprecedented creativity and collaboration between studios and gamers. And the second big trend is the increasing scale and accessibility of gaming itself. More people than ever before are going to have access to a broader and more diverse set of games. Just like it was for myself, we know that for many people around the world, gaming is the first entry point into technology. I think this is going to be even more true in the near future because of the ubiquity and access to screens. One estimate sees the number of gamers growing to be over 2 billion people worldwide in 3 years. I think the question we need to ask is this: how do we transform our industry to prepare for this massive growth opportunity? Now consider that new gamers are joining us from places like Brazil, India, throughout Africa. We're going to see increasing opportunity along with increasing responsibility to make gaming for everyone. So the second question we need to ask is this: how do we transform our culture to prepare for new gamers from different cultures, different backgrounds, and different worldviews? And third, the blurring of the line between gaming and entertainment continues. 2017 was the year where entertainment didn't just blast open cultural change with Me Too, it marshaled in the power of the medium to shift the narratives around identity. Art, literature, movies, music, even street art has always played an instrumental role in creating empathy, changing perceptions, and shaping worldviews. Gaming as an art form has done this too, such as Life is Strange, where relationships weren't saddled with preconceived notions. Or Minecraft, where a study showed that it actually built empathy as students learned firsthand how their decisions and their interactions affected each other's responses. And then take reading. Recent studies show reading Harry Potter can actually improve kids' attitudes towards marginalized groups. After readers see Harry and Hermione face discrimination, they themselves become less prejudiced towards minority groups in their own lives. I bet in a few years we'll be talking about the Coco effect. Coco was the first all-Latinx Pixar movie. The first time Pixar told a story about a cultural celebration. The first time Pixar hired cultural advisors and invited them into their ultra-secret creative process. Because authenticity was a priority and a focus. The result wasn't just a loving tribute to Mexico, but a triumphant global introduction to real Mexican culture. Wonder Woman. From the LA Times to Business Insider, reviewers talked about the significance of the moment. The one where Wonder Woman takes the first step into no man's land. The moment that young girls can use for inspiration to be strong-willed and driven in the real world. Get Out isn't just an award-winning horror movie, but a brilliant commentary on racism. As Jordan Peele, the awesome director, said, "We can discuss race all day long, but if you see a movie that successfully puts yourself in the shoes of somebody different than yourself, you see the world differently." So I think of the power of story is greater than the power of the conversation. And now we have Black Panther. LA Times called it incredible, kinetic, purposeful. A superhero movie about why representation and identity matters. These movies advanced a new and arguably more accurate way of seeing and relating to people in our real world. They showed that representation matters, not just for the community they represent, but for the world at large. To the question, what kind of world are you building? These movies answered loudly, a world where all of us can be the hero. And these commercially and critically successful films won hearts, minds, and yes, box offices. Representation isn't just good common sense, it's good business sense. And with all these new tools empowering new creators, and with the increasing reach to new gamers around the globe, I think we, as an industry, are at our own crossroads. The question within our quest is this: has gaming reached its full potential and power to reflect and shape the world for all of us? We've spent a lot of time thinking about this and thinking about what we know is true about gaming's real potential. We believe gaming has the unique ability to bring people together. We believe gaming has the unique capability for the community to create a story together. And we believe everyone can be equal in the world of gaming. Where books and movies are all predestined storylines that are guided and guardrailed by authors and directors, gaming is the only art form where it's your journey, your decisions, your actions, and your consequences. It's the only art form where you walk in someone else's shoes and you see the world through their eyes. It's the only art form where you are on equal footing regardless of age, education, socioeconomics, race, religion, politics, gender, orientation, ethnicity, nationality, or ability. This is why gaming can be one of the great equalizers and great unifiers for society. Together, we can make gaming a reflection of the world we don't just want to see, but we can change it into the world we want it to be. There's a reason why games have always brought people together. From the first Olympic Games back in the 8th century BC to today, where we're seeing North Korean and South Korean hockey players playing together on the same team. There's a reason why people use online gaming as a way to escape the real world when they're coping with social identity issues. And there's a reason why games like Halo, World of Warcraft, Super Mario are incredibly popular wishes granted by Make-A-Wish. It's because these are worlds where kids who are too ill to go to school can play with their friends, not just like normal, but like equals. Here's the thing. The pen might be mightier than the sword, but today, I believe the pixel is mightier than the pen. We as an industry excel at world building. It's what we do. Just read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I read it as a love letter, kind of like tough love, to our industry and our undaunted courage, your resilience to grind it out to get the world right and the gameplay brilliant. And you know what? I think it really is pretty amazing that any game is made. When player feedback is loud and the gameplay is boring or the world is derivative, we suck it up. We don't make excuses. We listen, we learn, we fix it, we ship it, and we do it again. If we are intent on having gaming realize its full power and potential as a social force to equalize and unify, then we're going to have to call on the same resolve and the same growth mindset, the same leadership and the same accountability. If we want gaming to truly impact society, then we have to rethink and refresh not one, but two entire cultures. First, our world of creators, the culture of our own teams, and our own companies and our industry. And second, the world of gamers, especially the culture of our online communities. When we think of our industry, the big question is, how do we build a culture where everyone feels welcome and safe so they can do their best work. And I think it starts with honestly assessing what core mechanics are working in our own gaming culture and what's not. Our language, our conduct, our communication, leadership, our talent pipeline, the way we do things, the way we talk to each other. At the most macro level, the corporate world at large, the studies are sobering because corporate culture is not set up for everyone to succeed. According to Adam Grant, a professor at Wharton, male leaders who speak up are rewarded, but female leaders who speak up are devalued by both men and women. When women offer suggestions, managers rate them as less loyal than men. Having a double minority status of any kind amplifies the cost of speaking up, like black women. When black women fail, they shoulder an unfair share of the blame for mistakes. And this isn't 1961 NASA I'm talking about. This is our world today. And these are just some of the daily obstacles our teams face at work right now. We can do better. My team and I need to do better. We as an industry must commit to doing better and eradicating this piece of our culture. And we've got to figure it out because study after study after study shows that teams with the most representation are the most creative, the most innovative, and the most undaunted by big problems. In other words, we do our best work when people on our own teams can expand each other's worldviews. In Minecraft, Steve used to be described as an architect, a designer, or a geologist. Alex, well, she liked to build and explore. One of our Minecraft leaders, Lydia Winters, pointed out the subtle but powerful gender distinction. So we decided no, Steve is not the warrior and Alex the interior decorator. That no, Alex would not stand behind Steve on the box art. And incidentally, no, it's not a woman's job to think about gendered language. These deliberate fixes made Minecraft more gender equal. And they signal to our players and to our teams to think of them as equal. Since representation can enable teams to build richer experiences, then team composition really matters. This is an area I'm personally invested in this year. How do we recruit? How do we retain? How do we develop? How do we pick our high potentials? And who do we pick? How do we track external hires and who do we track? I know we all maintain a hire list. Take a look at your list. Are they all the same type of people? Data shows that we can be as aggressive as we want to be with recruiting diverse candidates, but if the work environment in our own teams isn't welcoming, they'll leave. So what are we doing now to ensure that everyone, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, race, or physical ability, can feel safe and inspired to do their best work? Brotopia, a new book by Emily Chang, has a list of practical solutions. You should read it. Like scrubbing job postings that use male-biased terms like rockstar and ninja. Research shows that those type of job descriptions signal your work culture and get fewer applications overall, and of course, fewer from women. And of course, there are big systemic issues at play here. How do we build the talent pipeline beyond the pool of available talent today and welcome many people into an industry where everyone wants to work? Even as we work towards these long-term talent solutions, there are questions that we need to ask and answer now. The same as other forms of entertainment. Hollywood is being asked, why not John Cho? Publishing is being asked, why not own voices? It's our turn to ask ourselves, why not all of us? What's amazing is that all of us here today get to create worlds for gamers as a living. 99% of the time, my job is great, until it isn't. And that's usually when I hear about an experience on our platform that's just disturbing. Like when a player tells us, I don't want anyone to know I was black. Once they found out, it was on. They'd call me the worst old school names. Guys would shoot me, even on my own team. Or when they realize I'm a girl, they'll either get vulgar or aggressive, which I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to play the game, just work together as a team. Or if it's my friend's first time playing a game, I'll ease them into games where I know it isn't a toxic community. These are real quotes. And the sobering thing, this isn't even close to being the worst of the vitriol and threats that people endure online. And this is a failure. The sad truth is that people today who are harassed online, they start avoiding our gaming. Then they start warning others to avoid gaming. And that's pretty much the antithesis of community. Much less fun. To quote Emily Chang again, the message of these negatives, upsetting episodes is this: you're not welcome here. And if you choose to show up anyway, be prepared to live with any harassment that comes your way. Honestly, toxic behavior doesn't just hurt the individual, it hurts our entire industry. When toxicity is aimed at one of us, it needs to stop with all of us. That's why I'm encouraging our community to coming together to talk about specific actions. Let's stand together to reinforce that, hey, beneath the pixels, there's real people here trying to have fun. Let's stand together and be ready for Ready Player 2 billion. Let's stand together and really commit to gaming for everyone. If you haven't already looked at the work that Riot did or what Jeff Kaplan is doing over at Blizzard to address the toxic plague, definitely do. The early results of some of Blizzard's work are really promising. With a couple of fixes, they've already driven down the incidence of abusive chat by 17% and player reporting by 20%, because people are trusting the system. And let's commit to absolutely including gamers with disabilities. Not just giving them access, but keeping it fun for them too. When we truly design for all, we help make the world equal for all. My favorite passage in Schreier's book is about Diablo 3. It proved a point that would influence numerous game developers to come. Every game can be fixed. Well, every world can be fixed too. I think we're in a game-changing moment. One where we can collectively decide that it's not enough that we be game makers. One where we can conclusively decide that no matter how hard it is, no matter how uncharted the territory, we are world makers. In a world where we have 7.6 billion people, where 4 billion people are connected, where over 2 billion people are expected to play games within 3 years, the future of gaming is why getting our culture right is important now. This isn't about culture for collective impact today. This is about investing in culture for global business impact tomorrow. The best part of D.I.C.E. to me is the spirit of collaboration. It's our moment where we can focus on each other and the topics that really matter to our art form. There are no distractions, just us, just this. Let's figure out how to work together, how we want to lead on this. I'm asking each of you, what world do you want to build? I want to know, what world could we build together if we could expand our team composition? What world could we build if we created a more effective culture for everyone working in it? And what world could we build if we made all gamers feel welcome? For me, regardless of the strategies or the specifics, I know what kind of world we can make. A world that elevates gaming way beyond epic lands and legendary characters. A world that elevates the impact and reach of gaming. A world that changes the way people see and relate to each other as equals. A world that unifies and leaves lasting value because we dared to create for all of us. Thanks.